All right, we got the top 3 bolts snugged up. They're not tight, they're just snugged up to pull the strut up into place. Next, we're gonna put the knuckle together. These are a splined bolt, so it's got a shoulder that it splines up on. So we're gonna put those in here in just a minute, and then we're gonna put this piece on here. So we're gonna do that right now. All right, we got this bolt on, these 2 bolts on. We got the bracket for holding the brake line and stuff on. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten these down to the specs that they need. These are 199 foot-pounds. I believe this is 45, I'll have to check. And then after we do that, we will put the lower control back on, the new one I have. And then we will get the bolts on and the bolt in there, and then the lower ball joint tightened up as well. All right, it takes a little bit with the ratchet, but they say not to use the impact, so best to follow that advice. I got the socket on there. I'm getting ready to get the torque wrench on there and then tighten those down to spec. And then this strut will be good. Well, no, we gotta wait. I just remember we gotta do it when there's tension on it, so we gotta put the lower control arm, then we will tighten these down to spec. So let's get the lower control arm put into place first. Don't get ahead of ourselves. Okay, here's our lower control arm assembly with the bushing and with the ball joint right there. So we're gonna go ahead and get this out of the packaging, remove the cover, protector cover for the ball joint, and we're gonna get the bushing in there and the front mount as well. So the biggest thing that I found is this joint does not want to pivot. So when we're trying to pick this up and to put it into place, it needs to rotate forward a little bit to get it in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loosen this nut up and tighten it back up to however far I loosen it. And then that'll allow that joint to spin, and I will be able to put it into both mounts. That mount there and this mount here. And then I will be able to get the ball joint lined up in the bottom of the knuckle. So we're gonna do that now. So I just loosened it a 1/4 turn. Now you can see I can pivot it with no problem. So when I go to lift it up into this, I can rotate it with no problem. And then I'll just... All right, I got those 2 bolts started. I got this one halfway through. And now I'm gonna rotate this up to get this lined up into the bottom of the knuckle. All right, I got the nut torqued down. I gotta put the cotter pin in it yet. This bolts all the way through. Gotta put the nut on that, and then I gotta torque those down. But once I do all that, I need to take the tension and lift on the lower control arm to load the suspension and then torque them down to specs.